Welcome SSC 220 students. This is my week 9 commentary as we are approaching this spring break or spring recess week. This is our first week to be looking in the area of data analysis. And I'm keenly aware that math in general and statistics are certainly dreaded by many, if not most, students at UMA. But nevertheless, perhaps that's in part because they're not as well taught as perhaps we could teach them. That's a thought that I have. And so as we develop this course in basic research methods, I want to be clear, this is not a statistics course in the sense that you've learned about it or know about it. It's not a math course per se. Rather, what we know is you can look at statistics either from the point of view of calculating or computing things, in which case you get into all the operations and all the difficulties that entails, or you can look at statistics simply as tools. And much the same way you may not be able to take apart a kitchen blender, you can still use it. So with statistics and data analysis, if in this course you can develop some ideas, some concepts as to what these tools are used for, then if you go on and do take a statistics course, I think it'll be much easier to get your feet on the ground. So with that in mind, we're slowly going to go through this over the course of 3 weeks, not counting spring break. And this week is the first step. So the first goal in this area will be to be very clear on the difference between descriptive statistics and inferential statistics. That conceptual distinction is very important. Descriptive statistics do exactly what they say. They're tools used to describe a sample or the data that you collect from a sample. And that can be a sample of people, it can be a sample of animals, it can be a sample of behaviors, it can be a sample of historical records, but it's just a sample. So once one has a sample, one has to somehow summarize it and find patterns in the sample. And so these descriptive statistics will tell you things like the average of something, the range of something. But notice you're not trying to make any kind of decisions or calculations. All you're doing is summarizing, nothing else. So the first area of statistics is called descriptive statistics. Then next week, not this, or I should say the week after spring break, we'll get into the area of inferential statistics. And a one-word preview of that is those are tools used to predict as opposed to describe. So descriptive statistics are about simply summarizing patterns. And then later on we'll get to the issue of predicting the characteristics of a larger population or future behavior, some such thing. But inferential statistics will be all about prediction. In addition to that, this week you'll be teasing apart and getting clear on the differences between a theory and a hypothesis. And of course, the simple way to do that is to think of a hypothesis as a prediction and a theory as nothing more than an explanation. You'll also be looking at the null hypothesis. And one of the things that throws students of research methods is the fact there's actually different kinds of hypotheses. That's the plural of hypothesis. So you have the experimental hypothesis, and then you have the null hypothesis, and then you can have an alternative hypothesis if the first two don't prove to be successful. Probably the hardest of these 3 types of hypotheses are the null hypothesis. So let me give you a memory device for null hypotheses. The null hypothesis really is, it's like asking a teenager what they did in school perhaps, or what's exciting in their lives, and they'll say nothing. In other words, no big deal, no change, nothing out of the expected or the ordinary. So when a research project yields nothing, it's called the null hypothesis, which means simply that the data doesn't tell us anything that we expected in our other hypotheses, so we're left with the null hypothesis. Okay, so wrap your brains around that this week. I think learning by examples is probably a good way to go. So if you can put examples on the discussion board, we can take a look at them and you can have a way of testing your understanding. And we'll look at these topics actually for the next 2 weeks, unless you want to get a little bit ahead and look at inferential statistics. I do want everyone to take a bit of a break, and I certainly want to take a break over the spring break. So if anything, you'll focus on perhaps developing or chipping away at your article critique. I'm sorry, not your article critique, but no, your article critique. Getting my courses mixed up. Your article critique that's due at the end of the semester. Okay, so far so good. The discussions, by the way, have been excellent, and I've updated them as far as points are concerned. So one of my goals for reaching spring break week was to be caught up totally in all of my courses, at least as far as the grading is concerned. And I believe I've accomplished that in this class. So I believe I've accomplished it in all the classes. So do let me know if you have any questions or considerations about any part of the course, including the gradebook. As an information item, next week I will be out of state. I'll be in Boston, but I'll still be checking in on the course online and responding to emails. And if need be, we can do a Google Hangout. So thanks for your attention. I won't make this any longer than it needs to. And again, look at statistics not as math, but as tools, conceptual tools. And I think you'll find this course quite doable in that